Big day here at Court TV Live. Welcome back. I'm Matt Johnson, in today for Ted Rowlands alongside Julia Janae.
That's right. We just saw the conviction and sentencing of Nicholas Kassotis in the dismembered wife murder trial in Hinesville, Georgia. Let's quickly go out and join our Court TV legal correspondent, Kelly Craft, who is there live with the defense attorney who represented this defendant, Doug Weinstein. Kelly.
Hi there, Julia and Matt. Okay, so this is Mr. Weinstein. He is defense counsel for Nicholas Kassotis. Doug, thank you so much for talking with us.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
So we have the verdict in this case. It was a lengthy trial in that we had a lot of gruesome details, and it lasted 2 weeks. We thought it was going to last 3, but a little bit shorter than what we had anticipated. First off, give me your reaction to the verdict.
Well, you know, obviously, we're disappointed in the verdict. We worked hard. I thought there was reasonable doubt here, but I respect the jury system. So this is what the jurors decided. Obviously, my client was going to appeal, but yeah, disappointment.
And what was your client's reaction?
You know, obviously, I think you could see it on his face. He was very upset. Not from anything I've discussed with him, but I don't think he was necessarily anticipating this verdict. So a bit of shock, disappointment, and I'm sure, again, not from conversation with him, but I'm sure he thinks they got it wrong.
Mr. Weinstein, throughout this case, we heard about Jim McIntyre.
Yeah.
Some of the things that people have said is, if you really didn't do it, we would be going all over the world trying to find this Jim McIntyre. Why not produce him? Obviously, it's the state's burden here.
Well, you know, the problem is that I think Nicholas learned toward the end of this, toward the last few years before his arrest, that Jim McIntyre was probably not his real name. And from his generic looks, having no idea of his name, it's just impossible to find him.
We heard different theories from the prosecutor in this case. One of the things that the prosecutor said during closing arguments was in regard to him wanting a child, wanting a family, and that even though the prosecution does not have to establish or prove motive, she said that he became mad because he found out that Mindy was not pregnant.
I mean, that seems like a ridiculous, no motive makes sense in this case, right? So they have to give the jury something, some kind of motive. And I guess that's the best that they could come up with. But does that make any sense at all? I mean, he's still relatively young. There's other women out there. He knows how to divorce people. He divorced his first wife. He's the one that filed. He could have divorced Mindy and found a third wife, as he eventually did anyway. So the idea that he flew into a rage and killed her, especially, you heard every witness, even the state's witnesses, talk about what a kind and gentle person he was. So this is not in keeping with any of his character.
Yeah, we heard witness after witness testify that he's not a violent man.
Right, that's exactly right. So the idea that he flew into a rage because his wife may have lied about being pregnant, it just makes no sense.
What about what you talked about in closing arguments? You said, why would someone live this life for years, be on the run, move more than 50 times? Why do it?
Well, I think there's only one answer, which is that he genuinely was in fear. It's not like he made up this story after he got arrested, right? He lived the story. He lived the Jim McIntyre story. So he and Mindy were clearly afraid of something. And this person calling himself Jim McIntyre put him in tremendous fear. And that's why he lived this really an awful existence for so many years.
The defendant took the stand.
He did. That was his choice.
That was his choice. Did you advise against that?
Well, I'm not going to disclose what I advised to my client, but it's always the defendant's choice on whether they take the stand or not, and that is the choice that he made. He's the one that makes that choice. He's the one that has to live with whatever the outcome of this trial is, so he chose to take the stand.
Now, we did not hear him speak, though, or give a statement in allocution. The judge gave him that opportunity in sentencing to speak. He chose not to do so.
That's always a wise decision as well, to not speak in allocution. So I was pleased that he did not do that. You know, obviously there are appeals coming. Who knows whether there's going to be a new trial? So I think it's best not to speak. I know people wanted him to speak, but they heard plenty of him speaking when he got up on direct and cross.
Now that we have the verdict, anything that you are looking back on? I mean, I'm going to ask you that. A lot of things they said, the prosecution said, in hindsight, you take a look back and you say, all of these stories seemed impossible. They believed him. He is a military man, highly educated. I mean, I'm going to ask you that. Anything in hindsight that you would have done differently?
Oh, all I'm going to do for the next week is think of all the things that I could have done different to maybe get a different outcome. So, of course, at the moment, I haven't even begun to process this yet. I'm sure if you ask me tomorrow, I will tell you 20 things that I could have done differently.
No DNA evidence tying him to the scene. You talked about that a lot.
I did, because there is none. Now the state's going to say because he wiped it down, but they didn't check the Clorox wipes or whatever wipes. We don't even know that they're Clorox wipes. You heard testimony on the stand that certain wipes don't kill DNA evidence. They didn't look at that. What about her fingernail clippings? She had defensive wounds, right? So you would think that there would be something under the fingernails. They didn't test those at all.
You talked about the cigarette pack?
Didn't look at that. All the trash that was in the, or stuff in the garbage and the ditches around the scene, they didn't pick that up. So there were a lot of threads that were left uncovered. What about, if I can raise one, what about all of the cars that went by that pumping station and were captured on camera? They didn't follow any of those leads.
Doug, that was a good one, and you brought that up during closing arguments, except when the prosecutor then went, she talked about, okay, let's think about that. But who had access to Mindy? And I think even though you made that argument, talking about the thousands of trucks and cars that passed by that area, this Portal hunting lodge, she then said, but who had access to Mindy? And then she pointed to the defendant.
Oh, yeah, because we all know that Airbnb residences in Savannah, Georgia are locked down like Fort Knox, and nobody could possibly get into that residence other than Nick and his family members. It just that other people had access to Mindy.
Okay. What else? Anything else you want to share with us?
No, but I just have to say, obviously it's a very tough case. I appreciate the outcome and all the thought the jury put into this. I respect the process, and I appreciate all y'all covering this. Anytime trials can be publicized, I think every trial should be at least streamed. So thank you for all you do on this.
Mr. Weinstein, thank you so much. I appreciate you talking with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Julie and Matt, we'll send it back to you.
Fascinating interview. Always great to be in that war room. Kelly Craft, thank you so much.